major averages actually dipped into negative territory right around the European close, but the Dow and the S&P clawing back into positive territory. The Dow up 67, the Nasdaq still down about 22 points, being led lower by Cisco. But it is the last day of the month, so let's show you how these major averages stand for the month of August. You'll see that it was on the 4th of August when China let its currency fall below 7, when we really saw a big underperformance in U.S. stocks. But we did come off the lows from early August. We are off the lows, but still down about 1.7 to 2% for the major averages. In terms of sectors that have led us lower, it's really energy, which was, by the way, the worst performing sector in July as well, down 8% following the dramatic slide we've seen in oil prices so far this month. On the other side, outperforming once again is real estate, as there is that hunt for yield in this lower rate environment. Kelly, back to you.
All right, Seema, thanks very much, and welcome to the exchange, everyone. I'm Kelly Evans. Some mixed economic data today, with consumer spending rising more than expected in July, but August University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey posted the largest drop since December of 2012. Speaking of drops, a big one for the euro today, which dropped below $1.10 for the first time since May of 2017. Let's drill down on these markets some more. Bob Bassani watching the action at the New York Stock Exchange. Bob?
Hello, Kelly. You know, stocks faded in the middle of the morning after a strong week. The rallies this month, have you noticed, they've been on very light volume because it's very tough to figure out how the global story is going to affect earnings in the next 6 months. And I'm talking about the global slowdown. Where are you on that spectrum? Everyone believes global growth is slowing, but they're not sure by how much. The bears see a strong possibility of a recession in 2020. Well, if that happens, earnings could drop 10 to 20% over 2019. That's typical in a recession. The bulls, though, they see geopolitical risks subsiding and a trade deal, or at least a long-term truce, very likely. Well, if that's going to happen, it could mean earnings could be up 5 to 10% in 2020. This is a huge difference of opinion, even between the bulls and the bears. We're only 3% from historic highs, folks, so it's hard to push for aggressively buying stocks at this level. On the plus side, though, investor sentiment, oh boy, is it bearish. Take a look at these numbers. This is a weekly AAII survey. It has the percentage of bullish, 26%. Oh, that's awful. This is the weakest it's been in years. The average is close to 40, by the way. The bears at 42%. That's way above normal. So extremes in bearish sentiment are often tied to at least short-term market bottoms. But again, Kelly, tell me where its growth's going to be in the next 6 months, and I can tell you where stocks should be, but nobody knows the answer.
I know we'd all be in great shape if we knew that. Bob, thanks very much, and have a great weekend. Bob Bassani. Now, we know that in August took investors for a wild ride, and it wasn't just in the stock market, it was in the bond market too. Stocks sold off for most of the month, and global yields plunged to new lows. In fact, there's now more than $17 trillion of negative yielding debt worldwide. That's up by $3 trillion this month alone. Will September bring a return to normal? And if so, how should you be positioned? Here to discuss that are Barry James, the president and portfolio manager of James Investment Research, and Vahan Janjigian is chief investment officer at Greenwich Wealth Management. What I like about both of you is you have picks that are pretty contrarian in this market. So, Barry, I'll just start with you. You like Chevron. Apples and Aaron's are a little bit more consumer friendly. But what do you think the landscape is going to be as we head into the rest of the year? Do you see a normalization for these markets?
I think we do. We're kind of in this neverland, if you will, of up and down markets. We've been in a trading range basically in August. So I think that may continue, but I think there's a shift taking place. Finally, I've been the Maytag repairman. I'm, value-oriented guy, and it has been lonely. So I really see that is just beginning to make a little bit of sense. The rest of this year, the companies with no earnings have doubled the returns of those with earnings, and growth companies have just about doubled the return on value companies. So I think we're in a transition. That's what this little up and down period is for, and I think that could work out well for the types of companies that I mentioned.
Okay, and Vahan, this argument about kind of growth versus value has been going on for a long time. I guess for the plays and the picks that we're talking about, these have to be investors with a relatively long-term time horizon. We're not talking about 6 or 12 months here. We're talking about probably 3 to 5 years. You like Macy's, Best Buy, and the XLE Energy ETF. Talk us through why you're not scared of wading into that territory.
Well, over long periods of time, there's a lot of empirical evidence that value stocks do outperform growth stocks. The past 10 years has been an exception. We've seen just the opposite happen. So, I'm betting that eventually we'll go back to what typically happens over long-term trends. And I think we have an opportunity now to buy some really oversold value stocks that have great yields and are likely to continue sustaining those yields because they have pretty good cash flows. So that's why I'm really favoring these kinds of stocks right now. Energy, of course, has been really out of favor. We saw a plunge in oil prices, in my opinion, largely due to the trade war and threats of higher tariffs, which could slow down global economies. So I think that's another area that I think you have an opportunity to buy some energy stocks that have pretty good yields.
Okay, and let me mention, given what's happening with trade war and tariffs, of course, that we have the round going into effect this weekend. We have the president tweeting again, Barry, this morning, saying that it's not, we don't have a tariff problem. He says, we have a Fed problem. They don't have a clue. He's also upset, as I mentioned, about that move in the euro. He says it's dropping against the dollar like crazy. So do you have to somehow take that into consideration here when thinking about, how well these stocks you've mentioned are going to perform? I mean, especially a name like Apple over the next several months here.
Yeah, that is definitely a concern. Apple, in their case, I think that's already been factored in, and it's actually done better in August than the market as a whole. So I think that's already been taken account of. Aaron's doesn't have any exposure internationally, and from an international standpoint, Chevron is doing LNG, and they're really looking to move ahead in that area. So I think we can offset those in those types of companies. I will say, though, as we look at the market, part of what's driven it has been the shrinkage. Everybody talks about the demand side, but what about the supply side? We've gone from 8,000 to about 4,000 names in the market, and as we sort through all of that, we've had a lot of buybacks. That's slowing down right now. IPOs are jumping up right now. That could put a slowdown on some of that growth area and help me and my friend on the program with our value stocks.
And then finally, and quickly, Vahan, the moves in bond markets, would you describe them as extreme, as worrisome, as something to be leaned against or leaned into? Real quickly.
Very extreme. I never in my life would have thought we would have seen negative interest rates in so many places. I think this may be an opportunity to lighten up on bonds and go into some of these stocks that have very decent yields. And with all due respect to the president, I don't think we have a Fed problem. I do think we have a tariff problem.
All right. We'll leave it on that controversial point, guys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Barry James, Vahan Janjigian, with some brave picks there for the fall. Now to one of the biggest drivers of this month's wild moves. It is trade. And beginning Sunday, the country's busiest port will feel the impact of the latest round of tariffs. The impact is sizable. Jane Wells is live at the Port of Los Angeles with more for us. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Kelly. Yeah, this really is the gateway to Asia, and they've had just record-setting volumes through the third quarter as retailers are trying to front-load, get everything in here before these tariffs hit on Sunday. And it's incredible because as of Sunday, the port tells us 98% of the goods coming in here from China, only 98%, so still 2% will be tariffed. We're talking $164 billion worth of goods, but we're already starting to see the changes in the supply chain here. Of the 4 boats we were sailing through this morning, only one was from China, 2 were from Korea. We had one from Vietnam. The one behind me right now is from Taiwan. And one of the side effects of all this coming in so early is we're starting to see the containers stack up and congest the port again because warehouse vacancies are way low. I mean, it's very tight. It's below 2%. The question is, if the ships that arrive starting Sunday and these tariffs start to hit things that consumers buy more often, like clothing, how much of that 15% tariff will be passed through to the consumer? Is the consumer going to notice? Is the consumer going to pull back spending? Kelly, we just don't know.
And are we going to be watching, counting the ships there, Jane, to try to figure it out?
Well, certainly in terms of volumes, do not be surprised if this record-setting third quarter we've seen is followed by a drop in the fourth quarter, because if you do year-over-year comparisons, the fourth quarter last year was huge here as everybody was trying to get everything in before January 1st. So we could end up with a flat year in terms of volumes at here, this major port facility. And considering all the tariffs, flat is good.
We'll take it. Jane, thanks very much. Great to see you. Jane Wells at the Port of Long Beach for us. Here's what else is ahead on the exchange.
Coming up, from tariffs to attacks from the president, The auto industry in the spotlight today. We'll look at the president's claims against GM and where the tariffs take the industry next. Plus, a look at one investment that's seen so much demand that the pace of demand is setting records. And Dorian expected to hit Florida as a Category 4 hurricane. We've got the latest. This is The Exchange on CNBC.
Pick up 3 packs of beers for only £21 at Asda, including Strongbow Dark Fruits, Stella Artois and Cobra. Perfect for those end-of-summer barbecues. Bring it home with Asda. Selected stores and lines, subject to availability. Stella and Strongbow, 10 440ml cans. Cobra, 12 330ml bottles. Individual packs, £9 to £10 each. Excludes Scotland drinkware.
Chloe, is that you? Still lugging that old laptop round your lectures?
No, my name's not Chloe, it's Claire. No,
No one wants to be seen with an old laptop at uni. Ask Curry's PC World about a new one, like the stylish HP Envy with its light thin design. Only $749. Plus, save £100 more when you trade in your old qualifying laptop.
Nice new laptop, Chloe. Thanks. It's Chloe, like the goddess.
Save with instant trade-in at Curry's PC World. In-store only. See website for laptop trade-in qualifying criteria and evaluation.
Man, it's been some summer. Feels like the carnival could go on forever. Capture the joy on your new Huawei P30 series, and it really will go on and on from just $19.99 a month with no upfront cost from Carphone Warehouse. Stretch out the long summer days with the hot phone of the moment, the Huawei P30 series, now with up to £100 cash back. Pull a switcheroo at Carphone Warehouse. Offer ends 4th of September. T's and C's and contract apply. Visit website for details.
The biggest cat in the world was longer than a cricket bat. Think that's big? Tonight, the Euro Millions jackpot is an enormous £107 million. 107 million! Now that's big.
Euro Millions from the National Lottery. Amazing starts here. Estimated jackpot rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
For our half-price sale on a choice of floors and beds. For first-class free fitting, Carpet Right for life. Offers end Tuesday. Free fitting on selected carpets and vinyl with selected underlay. Minimum spend applies.
Live big and spend less on the brands you adore. And dine by the waterside. Who could want more? Lap up the savings as much as the view. With Ted Baker, Hackett, Nike and Coach too. Lock Fine and Five Guys make it a date. You can shop, meet and eat every weekday till late. So sit back, unwind and let style lead the way. And give yourself a different day. At Gunwharf Keys. Waterfront outlet shopping.
Strength and things. Strength and things. Strength and things. Strength and things. Strings and things and strings, strings, strings and things. Strings, strings, strings and things. Strings, strings, strings and things. Strings and...
Now there's a whole range of strings and things called strings and things, including cheese strings, yollies, and new cheese shapes. Find them all in the cheese and yogurt aisle.
Strings and things.
Welcome back to The Exchange. President Trump once again taking aim at General Motors today. Let's get to Phil LeBeau in Chicago with the latest for us. Phil.
And Kelly, he did it the way he usually takes aim at a company, through Twitter. He sent out this tweet today, essentially saying, you know what, GM, maybe you're not as big as you once thought you were. The president tweeting out, General Motors, which was once the giant of Detroit, is now one of the smallest auto manufacturers there. They moved major plants to China before I came into office. This was done despite the saving help given to them by the USA. Now they should start moving back to America. Again, with a question mark there, as if, why aren't they coming back to America? When you look at General Motors in China, by the way, they've been in China since the mid to late 90s. They were one of the first automakers to go into China, sold 3.6 million vehicles in that country last year, number 2 right behind Volkswagen. And they're basically building in China to supply China. There's very few of those vehicles that are exported. In fact, of those that are exported, only the Buick Envision comes from GM and is sold here in the U.S. They sold 30,152 last year. The president's tweet comes at a time when the UAW contract, which expires on September 14th, is in the midst of intense negotiations that are going to ratchet up soon. Here's the employment level in terms of hourly workers here in the United States. Now, General Motors is the lowest of the big three, in large part because they've become much leaner and more efficient here in the United States. And again, a reminder that UAW contract, it expires on September 14th. Kelly, when I read this tweet, the one thing I thought to myself was, does the president realize that GM set up its plants in China because the deal was, if you want to sell in China, especially going back to the 90s and early 2000s, you had to partner with a Chinese automaker in order to be there. It's not like you could say, well, we're going to move a plant from the U.S. to China. Right. That's not what that was all about.
They required joint ventures in a lot of things like that. You know, it reminds me of what the National Retail Federation has said about the tariffs that are going up in the next couple of months. They said a lot of the stuff that we make in China, we sell to the rest of the world. So if you're going to have us make it in the U.S., that higher cost is met with a lower selling price for most other countries than ours.
Right. And the vehicles that we make here in the U.S. are predominantly sold here in the United States. And the U.S. is big on pickup trucks and SUVs. We like larger vehicles, which is the reason why the big three always have struggled to do well in Europe, because they couldn't export from here to go over to Europe. And Europe is so competitive for the plants that are there. It's a different market and different dynamics.
China is General Motors' largest market, Phil. It has been since 2012. Why do you think they keep getting the president's ire? I mean, what is you've talked before about how
closing of the plants.
And
it's the closing of the
Mexican
plants.
Production continues apace, right? I mean, for all of the rhetoric and finger pointing that we've had for the last couple of years, has anything really changed for the auto supply chain?
You mean in terms of where the automakers are building their vehicles? Not dramatically. Yes, there is more production here in the United States than there was, let's say, 5 or 6 years ago. And part of that could be some of the jawboning that has come from the president. You've seen, so for example, Ford has increased production of some vehicles here in the United States. And no doubt the president has been a part of influencing those decisions. But by far, this is an industry where you build and you sell in the same market, same region. It just does not make sense to build in one region and ship to another. Few exceptions there, but generally speaking, that's the rule.
Stay right there, Phil. Paul Ingrassia joins us for this as well. He's a Revs Institute editor. Paul, and you've said that this is an ill-timed move by the president to push car production to return to the U.S.
Well, yeah, it's actually ill-timed for several reasons. First of all, you know, pig production is being hurt in Iowa because China is cutting back agricultural imports of pork to China from Iowa. So you have this tit-for-tat trade thing, and guess what? Both sides are losing. The producers on both sides are losing. But not only that, look what's going on at the UAW these days. The car companies are about to start their contract talks with the union. But just a few days ago, the home of the UAW president was raided by federal agents. Mm-hmm. Now, what's this all about? Well, we don't know the full story yet, but we do know there was a big kickback scandal at Fiat Chrysler a couple of years ago involving these same kickbacks. Now, the UAW has always had a squeaky clean practices and reputation, so something's going wrong here, and that's going to throw a big wrench into all these auto talks going on just at the time when Trump is coming in and trying to disrupt trade flows and globalization that, guess what, are not going to be disrupted anyway in any meaningful way, just as Phil said.
Yeah. So let me ask you both before we go about Tesla. Then the headline today is that they're going to be exempt from some tariffs in China. Phil, what do you read into that?
Well, it's not just Tesla, Kelly. I mean, Tesla gets a lot of the news, and when this first came out, a couple of people messaged me and they said, wow, Tesla's getting their tax waived in China. Well, all electric vehicle purchases will have their tax waived in China. Certainly, it's good news for Tesla. Look, the Chinese government has made it clear. They want to boost electric vehicle sales. They're already the leader worldwide in that area. They want that to increase in the future. So for Tesla, this is certainly good news.
And Paul, what does it tell us about the spat between these two countries? Because we had Costco open in China this week to great fanfare and crowds. We now have Tesla effectively being exempt from tariffs because its product is in such high demand in China. I mean, how much is really changing on the ground?
Well, things are changing in the rhetorical sphere, definitely, no doubt about that. And to an extent, things are changing on the ground because rhetoric does affect reality. On the other hand, these two nations are really joined at the hip in a lot of ways. And this effort by politicians to sort of fight this trade war is really running into a lot more sticky wickets, you might say, than politicians on either side have imagined. And what they do is just ramp up the rhetoric even more and get into stickier situations, i.e. the agricultural situation in the Midwest.
Right. As a sort of the canary, the tell for where this is all headed. Guys, thank you both. Really appreciate it. Phil LeBeau and Paul Ingracia. Coming up, there's a shift happening in global real estate that we haven't seen in 7 years. We'll talk about what that's telling us and where the next hot markets are ahead. Plus, tennis goes high-tech. A look at how new technology is changing the game and the companies cashing in on it. Don't go anywhere. The Exchange is back in 2.
Investment mistakes?
Pick up 3 packs of beers for only £21 at Asda, including Strongbow Dark Fruits, Stella Artois and Cobra. Perfect for those end of summer barbecues. Bring it home with Asda. Selected stores and lines, subject to availability. Stella and Strongbow 10 440ml cans, Cobra 12 330ml bottles. Individual packs £9 to £10 each. Exclude Scotland drinkware.
Chloe, is that you? Still lugging that old laptop round your lectures?
No, my name's not Chloe, it's Claire.
No one wants to be seen with an old laptop at uni. Ask Curry's PC World about a new one, like the stylish HP Envy with its light-in design. Only $749. Plus, save £100 more when you trade in your old qualifying laptop.
Nice new laptop, Chloe. Thanks. It's Chloe, like the goddess.
Save with instant trade-in at Curry's PC World. In-store only. See website for laptop trade-in qualifying criteria and evaluation.
Man, it's been some summer. Feels like the carnival could go on forever. Capture the joy on your new Huawei P30 series, and it really will go on and on from just $19.99 a month with no upfront cost from Carphone Warehouse. Stretch out the long summer days with the hot phone of the moment. The Huawei P30 series, now with up to £100 cashback. Pull a switcheroo at Carphone Warehouse. Offer ends 4th of September. T's and C's and contract apply. Visit website for details.
The biggest cat in the world was longer than a cricket bat. Think that's big? Tonight, the Euro Millions jackpot is an enormous £107 million. 107 million! Now that's big.
Euro Millions from the National Lottery. Amazing starts here. Estimated jackpot rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
For our half-price sale on a choice of floors and beds. For first-class free fitting, Carpet Right for life. Offers end Tuesday. Free fitting on selected carpets and vinyl with selected underlay. Minimum spend applies.
Live big and spend less on the brands you adore. And dine by the waterside. Who could want more? Lap up the savings as much as the view. With Ted Baker, Hackett, Nike and Coach too. Lock Fine and Five Guys make it a date. You can shop, meet and eat every weekday till late. So sit back, unwind and let style lead the way. And give yourself a different day at Gunwharf Quays. Waterfront outlet shopping.
Welcome back to The Exchange. Here are some of the movers this hour. Shares of Campbell Soup are higher on an earnings beat. Organic growth beat forecasts as well, and the company said it has built a solid foundation on which to improve its results in fiscal 2020. A lot of relief there for shareholders. Shares are up 7%. Big Lots also higher after beating on the top and bottom line. The discount retailer says it's confident it can successfully navigate tariff-related headwinds. Big Lots shares rising today as well. And check out WTI crude on pace for the worst day in 2 weeks, but still on pace for its best week in 7. We just got a rig count, and those numbers show oil drillers cut 34 rigs in August. That was the 9th straight month of cuts. And there's WTI crude down nearly 3%. While the East Coast is on high alert as Hurricane Dorian heads towards Florida, whose East Coast hasn't been hit with a Category 4 storm since Andrew more than 25 years ago. NBC meteorologist Caitlin McGrath is over at the wall for the very latest. Caitlin.
That's right. We are continuing to track Dorian strengthening as we head throughout the afternoon. Still a Category 2 storm, but as you look at the satellite loop, you can see it getting that well-defined eye. That tells me it will become a Category 3 later on this evening, certainly through the overnight. And you can see the latest track still pushing it to the north and west for just a bit longer before it jogs straight west towards the Bahamas and towards the Florida coast by the time we get to early next week. Now, it is forecasting to become a Category 3, then a Category 4, and approaching Florida as a major Category 4 storm, possibly a Category 3 if it does weaken with that interaction with the Bahamas over the weekend. So my biggest takeaway as we head towards Labor Day weekend, if you live in Florida, you need to keep an eye on this forecast. Do not check out as we head through the next few days. This is a very dangerous situation for the entire state of Florida. A very slow-moving storm will approach, will bring a lot of rain and dangerous storm surge. We'll continue to keep an eye on Dorian and bring you the very latest. But for now, back to you.
Yeah, I know a lot of people changing their plans and clearing out. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Now to Rahel Solomon for a CNBC News update. Hi, Rahel.
Hi, Kelly. And here's what's happening at this hour. Let's stick with Dorian now. In Tallahassee, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is warning residents to prepare for Hurricane Dorian as it could become a multi-day storm.
This is a major event. We still have some degree of uncertainty, but I think if you look at the different forecasts, you see potential major impacts from places in South Florida, potentially going all the way up the coast of Florida.
Walmart is trying out a new healthcare clinic format. The retailer is testing the pilot called Walmart Health at a location in Georgia. The new clinic will offer hearing and vision tests and counseling sessions. Patients will be able to schedule their appointments online. And many who die while waiting for a kidney transplant had actually received multiple offers for a new organ. Researchers from Columbia and Emory University studied data involving more than 350,000 patients who were on the wait list, and they found that 76% had received at least one offer. The main reason for the projection by the transplant team was apparently concern about the quality of the organ. And that is a CNBC News update at this hour. Kelly, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Rahel, thanks very much. And here's what's still ahead on the exchange.
Up next, a very bearish day for beauty as Ulta sinks. The potential Purdue settlement drawing lots of criticism. Walmart wants to sell you groceries, clothes, prescriptions, and now, be your doctor. And Apple may finally start opening up its very closed system. Sort of.
Do you have... Pick up 3 packs of beers for only £21 at Asda, including Strongbow Dark Fruits, Stella Artois and Cobra. Perfect for those end-of-summer barbecues. Bring it home with Asda. Selected stores and lines, subject to availability. Stella and Strongbow, 10 440ml cans. Cobra, 12 330ml bottles. Individual packs, £9 to £10 each. Exclude Scotland drinkware.
Chloe, is that you? Still lugging that old laptop round your lectures?
No, my name's not Chloe, it's Claire. No,
No one wants to be seen with an old laptop at uni. Ask Curry's PC World about a new one, like the stylish HP Envy with its light-in design. Only $749. Plus, save £100 more when you trade in your old qualifying laptop.
Nice new laptop, Chloe. Thanks. It's Chloe, like the goddess.
Save with instant trade-in at Curry's PC World. In-store only. See website for laptop trade-in qualifying criteria and evaluation.
Man, it's been some summer. Feels like the carnival could go on forever. Capture the joy on your new Huawei P30 series, and it really will go on and on from just $19.99 a month with no upfront cost from Carphone Warehouse. Stretch out the long summer days with the hot phone of the moment, the Huawei P30 series, now with up to £100 cash back. Pull a switcheroo at Carphone Warehouse. Offer ends 4th of September. T's and C's and contract apply. Visit website for details.
Please state your reason for this call.
I would like to end my home insurance policy.
Please state your reason for this call.
End my policy.
Please enter your 12-digit passcode. Policy ended.
Finally.
To confirm end of policy, please enter credit card details and pay £50.
With Aviva Plus home insurance, you can pay monthly at no extra cost and with no cancellation charges. New Aviva Plus. Insurance the way it should be.
Excludes Northern Ireland. For our half-price sale on a choice of floors and beds. For first-class free fitting. For kicking your heels off. For overexcited kids. And pets. For thrills and spills. for a special welcome home. Carpet Right for life. Offers end Tuesday. Free fitting on selected carpets and vinyl with selected underlay. Minimum spend applies.
Let's catch you up on a couple stories that should be on your radar today. It's time for Rapid Fire, and here to break down the headlines are Contessa Brewer, the survivalist, Bill Griffith, and Meg Terrell. But that's a story for another time. The first topic we want to talk about today is Ulta Beauty, because check out the shares. They are down huge today on ugly earnings, missing on both the top and bottom lines. They slashed guidance. We're talking about a 29% decline right now. Their comp store sales disappointed. Really interesting nuggets in this. The company said the cosmetics industry has been struggling as a whole as of late. They said trends like contouring and brow styling have gotten stale. Okay, claim number one. However, and this is also significant, they noted that consumers are bypassing stores for some digitally native brands like Glossier. And if that's true, then one of the hottest parts of brick and mortar is cracking because people are going online. That I find very interesting.
Well, and especially when you assume that people, if they want to try out a new brand of cosmetics, they actually want to see what it feels like, see what the color is. So the fact that Glossier is making some headway and proving to be real competition for a bricks and mortar like Ulta or Sephora, it makes sense to me that you would go online and buy cosmetics after you've tested it out. But the testing it out is the important part of that. Can we just get back to people aren't contouring or doing the brows?
I wanted to bring that up. Why aren't
we
they?
need to define. Can I show you? And for all of those who do not know what contour
show and tell,
is,
please?
This is the tan part that makes your cheekbone look chiseled or your nose look super skinny and your brows look super arched
Are you saying
and
this
defined.
isn't you naturally?
It's a glorious thing.
Of course it's not do they see what teenagers do now? They wash their faces and go to school.
But here's the thing. I don't buy
Didn't
that
Alicia
this is
Keys
somehow... Yes, if
Alicia
this
Keys started
coincided
that.
with the Alicia Keys Au Naturel
I
movement a
remember
couple
you wanted
years
to
ago...
do that at the New York Stock
I
Exchange.
toyed with it. Fortunately, I then moved away from that idea.
That would have been incredible.
But it's just, I don't necessarily understand that all of a sudden, all of these trends came to a screeching halt in this quarter.
They need a new fashion
there's something
trend
different going
It
on.
didn't seem to me actually that it was that these trends are ending. It's that there aren't new trends to get people into the store to try something different. So Kardashians, I guess Ulta needs to pay you to come up with something new.
But don't you need to keep
to get
replenishing
people to
when
buy
you
more
are contouring and browing and all that
Bill,
stuff?
It takes a long time to go through that stuff.
Does it? Yeah.
I wonder if it's not more about the digitally native brands making some inroads.
All I know is there was a time when Ulta Beauty could do no wrong. It was one of the hottest stocks anywhere. And now, I mean, just today it's down 30%. That's unbelievable.
I think it was the best performer for the decade after the bottom in 2009. The best performer in the S&P 500, and now this. All right, some states are pushing back on Purdue Pharma's proposed settlement of up to $12 billion for its role in the opioid crisis. Concerns include the deal's dependence on future drug sales, how much money would be guaranteed, and the Sackler family's contribution, Meg. So this opening gambit by theirs, the bottom line is that that number needs to go way up.
Well, the states want it to go way up. Whether it actually can go way up is another question. And what I think is really notable about this is that the states are pushing back. And what was surprising about the settlement news that came out earlier this week from Purdue was that the states seem to be potentially on the same page as the cities and counties. The entire discussion around settlements here has really started to become states saying, hey, we should be fighting our own battles here. And the cities and counties have been banded together in one huge federal consolidation of cases, trying to fight themselves. And you actually saw Ohio come out today, the state of Ohio, saying, wait, these two counties are starting to settle and they're going to go to trial themselves. Hold on, the state of Ohio needs to fight this on behalf of all of our counties. So it seems like the states versus cities theme is coming up again.
And one detail that's emerging now that kind of got lost in the sauce when they first introduced this, and you brought this up, the $12 billion that they're proposing as part of this settlement is dependent on, will come from future sales of OxyContin. So in order to get the money you need to clean up the mess, you need to sell more of the opioids to get this thing to work.
But is it just acknowledging the reality that there's still some demand and usage of opioids, and so we might as well funnel those proceeds? Or I understand the point, but Are those drugs still in relatively high demand, or has that been totally supplanted?
They still do sell those drugs and get some revenues from those drugs. It wasn't just OxyContin. It would also be a drug they're waiting to get approval for that treats opioid overdose, so reverses the overdose. But basically just saying ironic. Any revenues that the company is getting would be given to the settlement, and the Sacklers are washing their hands.
The states want more cash up front. That's a big part of it right now.
Yeah, and we'll see how much more they can get from the family, too. That's going to be a big theme, as you said, especially if it goes criminal. Sort of related to this, Walmart is announcing that it's moving further into the healthcare market. They are opening a new clinic called Walmart Health in Georgia. Patients can book online and choose from services that include primary care, dental labs, x-rays, counseling, even among other things. And if it goes well, Walmart could open more clinics in the future. They've even registered walmarthealth.com. I think this is a big, big deal.
What's interesting to me is that the trial store that they've opened is in a separate building. It's next to Walmart, but it's not inside. I would think that strategically, they said they did it for, patient privacy kind of reasons. But strategically speaking, if you want someone to stay in the Walmart ecosystem, and already they offer the bank, the eyeglass place, the hair salon, the money chain.
Which are all inside the store.
Exactly. Yeah. That you would want that healthcare clinic to be inside the store. And they've had some smaller style clinics inside their retail outlets. I'm interested to see whether the standalone becomes the wave of the future, or whether they...
But my guess, just thinking about the strip mall that we had with the Walmart growing up, if they were to place it right next door or sort of in a strip mall catty corner, you probably benefit from the same foot traffic. But I do understand the privacy thing, because how many people really want to have... I think about I've gotten my hair cut at Walmart, and you don't always want to be on display.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've long been saying that I think that it's going to be the free market that's going to help bring the cost of healthcare down, and I think this will be a big part of that right here. If this works, it's a test run still, but between what they're doing, what CVS has been doing, what Walgreens has been trying to do. And
if I were CVS and Walgreens, I'd be feeling a little nervous about this announcement, Megan. I wonder what it means for the rest of the traditional healthcare industry.
Well, the fact that they're offering mental health care services is really, really interesting to me. And I think you made such a fantastic point, Contessa, that the fact that this isn't physically in the store means maybe this is a big business for Walmart, independently of just trying to increase foot traffic. There is an issue with paying for or getting mental health care paid for right now in this country. There is not enough access to mental health care, and this could really solve a big problem.
Also, the research shows and the new trend shows that if they fund mental health care, it lessens the cost of the medical care, because sometimes you're in for long chronic care because you're not treating the mental health aspect of whatever the underlying problem is.
Well, we'll see as they roll out more of these locations. Sounds like that's what they're going to do. Finally, today, you don't have to go, speaking of stores, into an Apple store or a certified location anymore to get that iPhone repaired by an Apple-approved technician. The tech giant is finally allowing individuals to apply to their repair program and get approved to buy parts and tools at the same price as authorized service providers. Now, in a nutshell, one consumer site said, basically, Apple is responding to the reality that it doesn't have the capacity to handle all of these repairs.
However, the economics don't bear that out, because let's not forget, a screen for an iPhone costs $350, okay?
To repair or replace?
To replace it, okay? Yeah. So if an outside firm wants to replace your broken screen, it's $350. Apple charges $329 to replace your screen. So who are you going to go to? The guy on the corner, where you're going to be charged not only for the screen, but for the labor and everything else, or you go to Apple and you get it for a lot cheaper.
If you can get there to the Apple location.
That's it. Because if you buy a phone and you live in North Dakota, where are you going to go get your iPhone replaced? There's a lot of people who live a long drive away from an authorized, either an Apple store.
By mail, I'm serious.
But then who's going to do without their phone? The reason people that it takes to who's going to do without their phone that long? Not me.
Couldn't do that.
But the reason people go to these unauthorized situations is cheaper.
Practice your contour.
I don't think Bill could do it either.
Solves the problem.
Say what?
The reason you go to one of these unauthorized fixers is because it's cheaper, and just getting authorized seems like it won't keep it cheap. So does this change anything?
Right. Is there going to be a cottage industry? You can go to the guys who aren't certified for the cheapest. You can go to the ones in the middle, and we'll see how many take them up on it. All right, I guess none of you are going to. But thank you all very much. Contessa, Bill, and Megan, have a great weekend. And I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Yes, you will.
Coming up, a look at one area of the market that's breaking records but may not be on your radar. That answer is next.
Want to get social with the exchange? Email us at theexchange@cnbc.com or find us on Twitter at CNBC The Exchange and at Kelly CNBC.
High-growth companies need to ask themselves, what is the right path to accelerate growth?
EY has taken the time to really understand the challenges that we're facing and our vision for the future. Veridesk is a company that has evolved to offer a full suite of office products to develop fast, flexible workspaces.
Veridesk is building something incredible, and we are extremely proud to be a trusted business advisor.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. The Center for Medicare Services has officially authorized new benefits Medicare Advantage plans may include. Plans may now include private home aides and rides to medical appointments. Most plans also include dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage. To get the benefits you deserve, call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. I called the Medicare Coverage Helpline, and they instantly advised me that I wasn't getting all the benefits I deserved. They explained I could get a plan that includes dental and prescription coverage, as well as the new coverage for private home aides and rides to medical appointments. If you want to find out what you deserve, call the number on your screen now. It's free. You'll be happy you called, I guarantee it.
Call to see if you can save money and get more benefits now. Don't delay. Call now. It's free. Call 1-800-548-2837. That's 1-800-548-2837 now.
There's golf. And there's the golf lifestyle. Shop with Golf has everything you need to go from the drinks to the links, to the boardwalk and the boardroom. This is the sweet spot for the moments you love and the looks you'll love even more. Because golf's more than a game. It's a lifestyle. Live the lifestyle at shopwithgolf.com.
Welcome back. State and local governments are selling bonds at their fastest pace in almost 2 years, and investors can't get enough of them. Demand is through the roof, with muni bond funds seeing more than 30 straight weeks of positive inflows and 9 straight months of positive returns. And the muni debt issued in the month of August has been the highest so far this year. For more, I'm joined by Nisha Patel. She's Vice President and Municipal Portfolio Manager at Eaton Vance. And what is behind this? Is it simply this grab for yield anywhere you can get it?
It is part that, and remember, we're in a much different environment coming in this year, more of a bond-friendly environment, right? So as investors are looking to add on more bond allocation, they're trying to do it in every fixed income asset class they can. And for high tax bracket individuals, munis have been and still are the best solution when it comes to fixed income alternatives.
Have we seen an acceleration there because of the SALT, the tweaks over the last couple of years?
Exactly. So as part of kind of the tax reform that started at the beginning of 2018, the state and local tax deduction is capped at $10,000. So if you're in a high tax state, effectively your tax rate has gone up. So you have investors in California, New York, New Jersey that are looking to park their money in those state-specific bonds because it's the most effective.
So how low have the yields fallen now? I mean, are we talking about historic lows?
We're close to historic lows. We've probably already touched that point kind of in the 10-year part of the curve. So right now an A-rated 10-year bond today is roughly yielding about a 145.
Wow.
Which, keep in mind though, if you're looking at a highest tax bracket, tax equivalent yield is still pretty attractive at about a 240.
So still a little bit higher than what you'd get in a treasury.
In a treasury, yeah.
But is it safe? I mean, this is such an interesting question because, obviously 10 years ago we had a lot of focus on whether there was going to be a wave of defaults throughout the muni bond landscape. That didn't happen, but every time you see these headlines where that issuers are being encouraged to take on more debt, you wonder, are they setting up for future defaults?
Yes, and I think that's a good question. At Eaton Vance, our credit analysts are looking to be now more cautious than ever, right, kind of going into the future. Here we are 10 years into an economic expansion. Certain states haven't gotten their act together, if you will, and you still are seeing...
Northeast largely, Illinois, California perhaps?
So California's situation is a little unusual. Their economy and their kind of revenue stream is very cyclical, very tied to the economy. Large portion of their revenues are tied to personal income taxes. So when times are good, stock market returns are good, portfolios are good, their revenues are through the roof like they have been recently. But when that shifts, their kind of credit ratings can dip below. And keep in mind, California was a BBB credit post-2008. because of the massive kind of downside shift in
they
revenues.
were caught flat-footed.
Exactly.
So where would you recommend investors look then if they say, I still am comfortable with this part of more comfortable than maybe corporates or treasuries? How do they know what's safe?
Yeah, so I think this is where professional due diligence is very important, right? I think munis are very nuanced. You have over 1 million CUSIPs, over 50,000 different issuers, very different than the corporate bond market. So you really need to be doing the appropriate due diligence. And generally speaking, munis have had a low default rate, but I think this is, again, due to the unfunded pension liability issues that we've all been hearing a lot about, due to some high debt that some states and cities are facing. This is where professional management is going to be very important. So, at E Advance, a lot of our clients kind of appreciate that due diligence, that we're going to still buy you the highly rated AA, even A-rated BBB bonds, but let's make sure that we're staying out of the landmines, if you will, especially if this is their sleep safe money.
So at least go with the sort of highest rated. And then for the states, is there anything that keeps them from issuing more debt in this environment?
There isn't. August, we saw certainly kind of a major uptick in terms of issuance, which, is to be expected given that yields are as low as they are, very attractive for financing. But keep in mind, in relative terms, issuance is still relatively lower from a historical basis because of another tax nuance as part of the tax bill that went through, where issuers can no longer refinance outstanding loans. So because of that, a lot of that issuance has been new money, new project issuance, which we've seen a little bit of an uptick in August, but it still historically is lower. Now, I imagine for the remainder of the year, we probably see issuers trying to really take advantage of these yields and catch up with that.
And then maybe 2020.
Exactly. But on the demand side, if demand stays at these pace and breaking record levels, I don't see an issue with the issuance being absorbed.
All right, Nisha, thanks very much. A lot of interesting stuff. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nisha Patel. Let's get over to Julia Borsted now for a market flash on Lionsgate. Julia?
Lionsgate shares plummeting down over 8% on a report in the information that Comcast plans to drop Starz, which is owned by Lionsgate. This report says that if Comcast follows through in that decision, it would eliminate about 1/3 of Starz U.S. subscribers. Comcast, of course, is the parent company of NBC Universal, CNBC's parent. We see Lionsgate shares down at nearly 9%. I've reached out to Comcast. They have no comment as of yet, and I have reached out to Lionsgate and have not heard back from them. Comcast shares trading pretty much flat. Back over to you.
All right, that's a biggie, Julia. Thanks very much, Julia Borston. Coming up, from the hardwood to the hard courts, technology and analytics are all the rage in sports these days. And once again, our Eric Chemi is lacing him up to test it out. Hopefully he'll fare better with a racket than he did with a basketball. The exchange is back in 2.
For this. At Fidelity,
pick up 3 packs of beers for only £21 at Asda, including Strongbow Dark Fruits, Stella Artois and Cobra. Perfect for those end of summer barbecues. Bring it home with Asda. Selected stores and lines, subject to availability. Stella and Strongbow 10 440ml cans, Cobra 12 330ml bottles. Individual packs £9 to £10 each. Exclude Scotland drinkware.
Chloe, is that you? Still lugging that old laptop round your lectures?
No, my name's not Chloe, it's Claire. No,
No one wants to be seen with an old laptop at uni. Ask Curry's PC World about a new one, like the stylish HP Envy with its light-in design. Only $749. Plus, save £100 more when you trade in your old qualifying laptop.
Nice new laptop, Chloe. Thanks. It's Chloe, like the goddess.
Save with instant trade-in at Curry's PC World. In-store only. See website for laptop trading qualifying criteria and evaluation.
For our half-price sale on a choice of floors and beds. For first-class free fitting, Carpet Right for life. Offers end Tuesday. Free fitting on selected carpets and vinyl with selected underlay. Minimum spend applies.
Live big and spend less on the brands you adore. And dine by the waterside. Who could want more? Lap up the savings as much as the view with Ted Baker, Hackett, Nike and Coach too. Lock Fine and Five Guys make it a date. You can shop, meet and eat every weekday till late. So sit back, unwind and let style lead the way. And give yourself a different day at Gunwharf Keys. Waterfront Outlet Shopping.
Hello, I'm Maisie Adam and you're about to listen to a set performed by me at the Cavendish Comedy Club in London. Oh, I'm terrible with my money. I am. I'm absolutely terrible. Like I can't play Monopoly because it hits too close to home. Honestly, because what it is just going around London going, can't afford that, can't afford that. I've got nothing in the bank and I can only dream of winning 50 quid in a beauty contest.
You might think you're terrible with money, but here's something. Did you know it's easier to save if you do it the day you're paid? Payday Save Day. Building a society of savers nationwide.
Working on a tablet has never been so good, whatever you're doing. With the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6, you've got all the power of a PC. It's sleek, slender and stylish, with a battery life of up to 14 hours. But it's not all work, you know. Get creative with the advanced S Pen, or enjoy better gaming and movies with its epic 10.5-inch screen and quad AKG speakers. We'll also give you an extra £50 off the Tab S6 when you trade in your old tablet or laptop at Curry's PC World. T's and C's apply.
Welcome back to The Exchange. The U.S. Open is underway with some incredible young talent on display. And technology is playing a bigger and bigger role in improving players' skill sets. Eric Chemi has a closer look.
These Division I tennis players spend a lot of time practicing at this typical-looking tennis court in New Jersey. But high-tech video and data analysis is changing the way future pros are learning the game.
You can't really see all the little details that with a human eye than you can with a camera or on technology. So small details really show up.
You can slow it down and like really see where you're making mistakes or losing power.
The CourtSense teaching program is owned by one of Novak Djokovic's coaches and features the PlaySight camera system based on Israeli Air Force technology.
When you made that correction, all of a sudden now your ball is 5 miles an hour faster or slower or more spin.
The technology made an immediate difference for me, showing exactly what I was doing wrong, like dropping my left arm rather than keeping it up to stabilize the ball. It goes beyond tennis, too, with sports biomechanics looking for any flaws or asymmetries in the player's mental reaction time and physical performance.
If you're a better athlete, the science behind athleticism says that you'll have reduced injuries and a longer career.
I feel that every generation gets better, partially because of technology gets better.
And Eric Chemi joins me now live from the U.S. Open. And the young talent, Eric, has been a real theme. Coco Gauff, Taylor Townsend's big win yesterday. So are they all using this technology? Is it something that we should expect, normal high school kids to be using in the near future?
The technology is definitely starting to spread. It started here in northern New Jersey, or not here, but over there in northern New Jersey, and it's going to more courts across the country. A lot of little kids, under 10 years old, their parents are bringing them into the courts. They're working on it so they can get that good by the time they get to high school age or get to U.S. Open age. And a lot of courts, people like you and me, could use the technology if we wanted to really compete in those working people's groups for the old folks above 35 years old. So it's spreading, and it's really accessible to anybody who wants it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so you've done basketball, tennis. I think next we got to get you on the football field, see how you hold up there, Eric.
Or maybe race car driving. That would be a good one, too.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Eric. Enjoy. Coming up, there is something happening in global real estate that hasn't happened in quite some time. We'll talk about what it is and what that's telling us about the housing market next.
When I lost my sight...
Chloe, is that you? Still lugging that old laptop round your lectures?
No, my name's not Chloe, it's Claire. No,
No one wants to be seen with an old laptop at uni. Ask Curry's PC World about a new one, like the stylish HP Envy with its light-in design. Only $749. Plus, save £100 more when you trade in your old qualifying laptop.
Nice new laptop, Chloe. Thanks. It's Chloe, like the goddess.
Save with instant trade-in at Curry's PC World. In-store only. See website for laptop trading qualifying criteria and valuation.
At Tesco, we can pop our pasta in your Astra, our red Leicester in your Fiesta, or our mayo in your Mondeo. All you need to do is try Click and Collect. Just go to tesco.com, order your shopping, then click and collect. With the minimum basket spend now only £25. And if you fancy something a little more exotic, we can even put our pad thai in your Qashqai. Try Click and Collect at tesco.com. Every little helps. Selected larger stores. Booking charge may apply. See online for full terms and conditions.
Everyone wants a smooth running home so that they can spend more time enjoying it. The British Gas app allows you to do just that, because with the touch of a finger, you could quickly pay your bill or book in a boiler service, leaving you more time to fire up the barbecue or just relax with a good book. manage your home account and more, all in one place. Download the British Gas app from the App Store or Google Play today.
Strength and things. Strength and things. Strength and things. Strings and things. Strings and things and strings and things. Strings and things. Strings and things. Strings and things.
Now there's a whole range of strings and things called strings and things, including cheese strings, yollies, and new cheese shapes. Find them all in the cheese and yogurt aisle.
Strings and things.
This summer at Chessington World of Adventures Resort, answer the call of the wild. With over 1,000 of the world's most amazing animals and over 40 of the wildest rides and attractions. Meet the Gruffalo and all your favourite characters at the Gruffalo Summer Party and so much more. Book early and save up to 40% at Chessington.com. It's Britain's wildest adventure for all the family.
From the moment I saw you, the last of the litter, I knew you were the one, and we'd soon hear the pitter-patter of tiny paws on our kitchen floor and tiny scratches on the bedroom door. You might sometimes be mischievous, sometimes be shy, but I know I found love in those kitten cat eyes. Join the free VIP Kitten Club from Pets at Home for advice and exclusive offers, including 10% off your first shop in store. Visit petsathome.com/kitten club or join in store. T's and C's apply.
Welcome back. News from the real estate market. A new report showing a shift in investment flows we haven't seen in quite some time. Diana Oleg, she said, is live in Washington with more. Diana.
Kelly, international investors became net sellers of commercial real estate for the first time since 2012. A new report from Real Capital Analytics found investors made direct acquisitions totaling $21.3 billion in the first half of 2019, but sold a little bit more at $21.4 billion. In the second quarter alone, acquisitions dropped 37% from a year ago. Why? Well, prices in the U.S. are at record highs and the returns are low, so it's just hard for investors to put money to work in the U.S. right now. The yield is not what it was even a few years ago. Investors are increasing spending on the office and apartment sectors after making a big push into retail last year. They're putting more capital into the New York City area, Boston, Seattle, and Las Vegas, but they're putting less now into Los Angeles, Phoenix, San Jose, and here in Washington, D.C. Now, the recent drop in interest rates has not come into play yet for commercial investors because of how long those deals take to close. Kelly?
All right, Diana, thank you. Speaking of shifting real estate investments, analysts say Hong Kong's booming housing market is about to take a major hit from the ongoing protests there. My next guest says Hong Kong's pain could be New York City's gain, with real estate here at home headed for a big boost. Dolly Lenz joins me now. She's founder of Dolly Lenz Real Estate, and you think you're already seeing some of the money coming this way.
We're getting so many inquiries, dozens and dozens, from people we'd sold 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. We sold, they were out of the market, they were home in Hong Kong, buying there, making tons of money. Now they're saying to us, you know what, we need a safe haven, we need to go somewhere else. What have you got?
Are they diversifying their portfolio, so to speak, or are they looking to get out of Hong Kong and come to the U.S.?
So far, it's safe haven more than diversification, so it's worse. And it may turn into more than that. It may turn into actually moving here.
$50 billion or so, you think, has left the Hong Kong market
already.
And they're coming to New York, but they could really go anywhere in this country, right?
They could. No, of course. But they know New York. You know, they've been here. They've made money here. They were happy here. They understand it. So New York is going to be a definite target where they're going. LA will get their share, Seattle, you know, other areas, but I think New York is a big winner.
Is there anything the Chinese could do to try to clamp down on this? I mean, obviously, if it's, you know, we're talking about China itself, we've seen that happen already, and that's been one big reason why real estate has suffered the last couple of years, especially high end. I mean, what if there's this resistance to that capital flight?
The problem is it's Hong Kong, so the money's already out. So they don't really have control over that money. And I'm telling you, it will go out. It will come here.
Is it a big enough wave that it can help to kind of turn the tide for what has been a really hard-hit segment of the real estate market?
It's Christmas for developers. There is no question. I mean, what they're asking about is new and shiny, and that's all the developers need to sell, right? Their new shiny product that has been lagging. So for them, literally, Christmas.
Wow. So they're looking to new developments. They're looking, like you said, to New York, maybe a couple of other major cities as well. You think the money that's leaving is already gone, or is this the tip of the iceberg?
It's already gone out of China. So it's in Hong Kong, it could be in Singapore, it could be elsewhere, but it's coming back to New York.
So this isn't necessarily Hong Kongers per se. This is just money that is living, let's say, in Hong Kong for the time being, but could have Chinese people behind it, other international citizens behind it.
Absolutely. Almost everyone we have as a client in China has money in Hong Kong that has been out for quite a while. So all of those people are the ones inquiring. So it's very interesting, and I think is going to be terrible for Hong Kong and for China.
Oh, it's really troubling to see what else could happen there as the capital and as the people leave. Dolly, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Dolly Lenz of Dolly Lenz Real Estate. And that does it for the exchange today. I'll go join Bill Griffith for Power Lunch, which starts right now.
Thank you, Kelly. Yes, we will see you in a moment on Bill Griffith. Here is what we're having new at 2 on Power Lunch. Stocks slightly lower right now, but still on track for their best week since June. Just 3% below their record highs. Are we setting ourselves up for a September to remember? And while the market gets back on track, we're days away from those new tariffs going into effect. Could the trade war trigger a global slowdown? We have a series of special reports for you on that. And then later, hard seltzer sales, they are spiking, and that has helped shares of Boston Beer have its best year in nearly a decade. CEO Dave Berwick will join us coming up. Power Lunch starts right now. Here's where we stand today. The Dow was up about 150 points on the open this morning, but that has been wiped out for the most part. The S&P driving into negative territory. The NASDAQ getting hit the hardest, down about 0.5%. But look at some of the staple stocks today. They've been hitting new highs. Campbell Soup jumping as much as 10% after its earnings report to its highest level in more than a year. Tyson Foods, Pepsi, both printing record highs so far today. Kelly.
Thank you, Bill. Well, as stocks race back to all-time highs, the countdown is on to new tariffs in just a couple of days. Bob Bassani is watching that down at the New York Stock Exchange. Bob?
Hello, Kelly. You know, the market's lost some steam here after a broad-based rally this week. We're still higher on the week, and only 36 stocks in the S&P 500 are down. That's remarkable. That's a big win here. The other 464 companies, they were all up. That just shows you how broad-based this rally has been. Here's the problem. Many see the rally as very tenuous and very tentative. Everyone believes global growth is slowing, okay, but there's wide disagreement over just how much it's slowing. The bearish school sees the strong possibility of a recession in 2020. Now, if that happens, earnings could drop 10 to 20% over 2019. We saw them drop 23% in 2008. The more bullish school, though, sees geopolitical risks subsiding and a trade deal or a long-term truce very likely. That could mean earnings could be up 5 to 10% in 2020. This is a huge difference of opinion. Remember, we're only 3% from historic highs right now. So with all the uncertainty, it's hard to argue to aggressively buy stocks at this level. That's why most believe that despite the bounce this week, the trade that has worked so far, go long defensive consumer staples names and utilities and REITs and essentially short cyclical names like energy and transports, that trade has worked very well and will likely continue to work well. So why we have all this uncertainty. Kelly, back to you.
Thank you very much, Bob Bassani. President Trump today tweeting about the Fed, the dollar, and tariffs. Kayla Tausche joins us now to break that all down. Hi, Kayla.
Hey, Kelly, some of the president's favorite targets in the crosshairs again on a quiet day with many top White House economic aides out of office. In a series of tweets this morning, President Trump expressed envy for the weakening euro, again blaming the Federal Reserve for a strong dollar that's hurting manufacturers that export goods from the U.S. He then says, quote, "We don't have a tariff problem, we have a Fed problem," end quote. And finally, suggesting the Fed should cut rates to juice stock market gains, that only badly run companies are using tariffs as what he calls excuses. It's all familiar material to watchers of Mr. Trump's Twitter feed, but it reveals his current state of mind on the economy ahead of a fall filled with half a dozen new tariff deadlines and 3 Fed meetings in between. Today, China's foreign ministry reiterated that the two countries are in effective communication after twice denying there had been high-level calls earlier this week, as Trump had suggested. But the ministry spokesperson said yet again, the U.S. must meet China halfway. Guys?
Kayla, thank you very much. Kayla Tausche.
All right, a lot of uncertainty for investors as we wrap up this wild month of trading in August. After all is said and done, the S&P is on pace to end the month down about 2%. But between Trump, trade, and the Fed, there are a lot of headwinds facing Wall Street right now. And joining us to talk about all of that is Ronan Sana.
Really?
Sana, yeah. Well,
it's only been 35 years.
Senior analyst here at CNBC, and Burns McKinney, who is Allianz Global Investors Portfolio Manager. Mr. Insania.
Yeah, you can get Allianz right, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It almost looks like a minefield with all the different things. And, you know, all of it could change, too, as it has in the past with the tariffs and so forth, right?
Yeah, well, we're not certain that he'll delay anything beyond September 1st, so it looks like those are going into effect, absent any other news. And the market's handled that with relative equanimity, the China comments helping out this week. But, yeah, there are a lot of minefields going forward, and interest rates are still remarkably low. Even though the stock market has popped up a lot, you still have the 10-year yield at about 1.5. You still have the yield curve inverted, which many people are poo-pooing and suggesting is not a recession indicator this time around. I would disagree. And then there's, still other things going on with Brexit, as we've seen, the suspension of Parliament, something that is not a regular occurrence in Great Britain and presents problems for the EU.
Burns, the way it's been discussed lately with yields hitting record lows or near record lows and the stock market near record highs is that somebody's got it wrong. Is that the case necessarily? Are the stock and bond markets telling two different stories?
That's absolutely the case. You have a bond market that's really is bracing for recession, and with stocks doing very well, there's the typical mindset whenever you do have a divergence is that people say, well, the bond guy, they're the math guys, and they're probably the ones that are going to be correct. But in this case, I think that you do have the signal that's been the signal that the inversion shows has been muted a little bit by a couple of factors. One of which is this is one of the first inversions post quantitative easing, and so term premiums are less, and it doesn't take as much to invert it. And then the second factor being is that the bond market has become much more global in nature. So in many ways, the interest rates in the U.S. don't necessarily fully reflect what's going on with the economy here, as much as they're just tethered down by ultra low rates elsewhere.
They're the math guys, Ron, in the bond market, not like the stock market, know nothing that.
They don't do much math.
But I can do the math enough to know, okay, the dividend yield of the S&P 500, as we saw this week, went above the 30-year long bond. The interesting thing about it, the last time it happened, is it was not 2006 or 2007. It was 2009.
March of 2009.
Correct, which was what? The bottom of the bear market and the start of a 10-plus year bull run.
Yeah, having said that, though, the bond market's signal is reflecting a lot of weaknesses overseas. I mean, the fact that interest rates are negative, $17 trillion worth of global sovereign debt yields negative, has a negative yield, that's not a positive signal. I mean, people are trying to suggest that there's only money flowing here because it's not flowing there. Well, yeah, that's partly true, but it's certainly not true that that's a positive signal for the global economy.
No question about that. But I think the question becomes, does it necessarily mean that we have to be heading for a recession of some kind just because Germany's almost all there and China Italy certainly has slowed down and Italy's in tatters at the moment.
Nine different major economies are at or in
but
recession.
Does that mean that we follow inevitably?
My base case has been a growth recession. I know people hate that expression, but growing below trend seems to be more the case. Now, third quarter GDP estimates are at or around 2%. That's still not the 3% that the president wants. It's not the 3% that allows the budget deficit to be reduced. It's not the 3% that allows the labor force to grow on a consistent basis.
What do you hold if you're in a growth recession, economy? What does that mean for investors?
Generally, you gravitate towards quality, you gravitate towards defensive stocks. That has been working in some instances, but you certainly
maybe working too well.
Well, but for a reason. I mean, sometimes thing happens and it adds up, right? I mean, the crowd's right for a period of time.
Burns, what do you think? Do stocks go even higher? Do yields go even lower as we go into what is, let's remember, traditionally the worst month of the year for the stock market in September?
This is a market which stocks have had a couple of tailwinds. The longer-term tailwind has been that you do have investors from overseas pouring money into the U.S. In the form of a flight to safety and a flight away from negative yields. And then the near-term factor that's been driving it more recently has been what seemed to be a pause in the escalation of trade wars. And one concern we do have is that that shorter term factor is something that can be reversed very, very easily. I think that investors should not confuse a pause and escalation of trade concerns with any sort of progress towards a resolution. I think that trade uncertainty tariff is something that could keep stocks, at the very least, returns muted and range bound. We expect returns to probably be a lot. They've been up. The market's up 15% or more this year, but it probably to be low to mid single digits over the coming months, which is really a good place for the defensives that have been mentioned. Dividend payers are a place to look as well for reduced volatility in that type of market.
And very quickly, I would not confuse a 15% move this year with a bull market either. We've gone nowhere since January of 2018. It's been a sideways market, a lot of choppiness, some volatility that has been fairly substantial. So we really haven't done much. You've had to be a stock picker in order to win and beat the market in a meaningful way.
And August has been a microcosm of that, as a matter of fact. Yeah. All right, Burns McKinney, Ron Insana.
Thank you.
Thank you both for joining us.
We have a market flash now on Bloomin' Brands, which is moving higher, and Seema Modi has the details. What's happening,
Yeah,
Seema?
it certainly is, Kelly. Shares of Bloomin' Brands are higher. Jana Partners disclosing a 9% stake in Bloomin' Brands in an SEC filing. Jana Partners acquiring Bloomin' Brands shares because it believes that shares are undervalued. It's also having discussions with the company regarding a sale of company divestitures, capital allocation, and board composition. You can see shares are up about 7%. Kelly, back to you.
All right, Seema, thanks very much. Now, President Trump kicking off the long weekend with a bit of tweet storm this morning. We told you about his comments on the Fed, but he also had some words for General Motors. Phil LeBeau has those from Chicago. Phil?
Hey, Kelly, he took a direct shot at General Motors, basically saying, look, these guys are a shell of what they used to be. Here's what the president tweeted at General Motors this morning, saying General Motors, which was once the giant of Detroit, is now one of the smallest auto manufacturers there. They moved major plants to China before I came into office. This was done despite the saving help given them by the USA. Now they should start moving back to America again. A little bit of reality check in terms of what the president is talking about here. Yes, GM is a smaller company in many ways than it was in terms of the number of plants it had in the U.S. It currently employs both salaried and hourly about 100,000 workers here in the United States. Compare that back to 2008 when it was just before it went into bankruptcy. It had a much bigger white-collar workforce, but overall it employed 92,000 workers here in the U.S. and a much bigger hourly workforce, or I should say a comparable workforce in terms of hourly workers. And in terms of China, General Motors has been not moving plants there, but establishing plants there. They didn't move one from the U.S. to China. They sold 3.6 million vehicles in China last year. And most of those plants, guys, they're joint ventures that were set up in the 90s and early 2000s when it was required by China that you have a joint venture in China in order to sell vehicles there. One last thing, take a look at General Motors shares over the last 5 years. Now, we're pointing this out. The stock really has not been a performer. But in terms of profit and losses, guys, in North America last year, they made $10.8 billion. You know how much they lost in 2007, right before the recession? $38.7 billion. It is a much more efficient and a profitable company now.
All right. And Phil, while we have you, we talked to some Tesla earlier, but the shares are higher on this exemption from China's auto tax. So clearly, even though it applies to everybody, investors here are showing some relief about this.
Well, sure. It's good news for Tesla. Look, anything where you can remove a tax in a country where you're selling vehicles, that's good news. And for China, it's all about whether or not they can spur greater sales. When you look at China auto sales, over the last 15, 20 years, they were moving higher and higher and higher. And then there was a downturn over the last 13 months. That's that little dip before the line there. That's because we've seen sales drop off as the economy has slowed down over the last 13 months. The dotted line, that's the projection if the economy continues to grow as expected over the next several years.
And those shares now are losing some gains. So now about 1.5% for all of that said. Phil, thanks very much.
You bet.
Phil LeBeau.
And coming up, Taylor Swift is planning to re-record her old albums due to some bad blood with the man who recently bought the rights to those albums. Will re-releasing them bring in millions or alienate her loyal fans? That's coming up. Plus, hard seltzer, it's shaking up the spirits industry. The CEO of Boston Beer, he's got a big smile on his space. He'll join us to talk about that. That stock is up 80% just this year. Stay with us.
Fix bullet holes. You say sorry just for show.
Hey, America.
They say less is more. But at MG, we say more is more. That means more spec than ever in the value-packed MG3, including Bluetooth audio streaming and cruise control to bring your journey to life. MG3, big on spec, skinny on price. From just $9,495 on the road, including a 7-year, 80,000-mile warranty. Make Friday your MG3 test drive day at WLMG Marylebone. MG, colour the road. Specifications subject to model.
Chloe, is that you? Still lugging that old laptop round your lectures?
No, my name's not Chloe, it's Claire. No,
No one wants to be seen with an old laptop at uni. Ask Curry's PC World about a new one, like the stylish HP Envy with its light-in design. Only $749. Plus, save £100 more when you trade in your old qualifying laptop.
Nice laptop, Chloe. Thanks. It's Chloe, like the goddess.
Save with instant trade-in at Curry's PC World. In-store only. See website for laptop trade-in qualifying criteria and valuation.
Pick up 3 packs of beers for only £21 at Asda, including Strongbow Dark Fruits, Stella Artois and Cobra. Perfect for those end-of-summer barbecues. Bring it home with Asda. Selected stores and lines, subject to availability. Stella and Strongbow 10 440ml cans. Cobra 12 330ml bottles. Individual packs £9 to £10 each. Exclude Scotland drinkware.
I'm home. Hi, Mum. Wow, what's that?
Saltwater supercars from Shell. Toy cars that run on salt water.
Science-fueled family fun. Fill up with £30 or more and you'll qualify to buy a car from just $3.99.
Track ready.
Check.
Saltwater ready.
Check.
Go!
Fill up on fun with saltwater supercars at Shell. Participating sites, conditions apply. See shell.co.uk/saltwater supercars for details.
Working on a tablet has never been so good, whatever you're doing. With the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6, you've got all the power of a PC. It's sleek, slender and stylish, with a battery life of up to 14 hours. But it's not all work, you know. Get creative with the advanced S Pen, or enjoy better gaming and movies with its epic 10.5-inch screen and quad AKG speakers. We'll also give you an extra £50 off the Tab S6 when you trade in your old tablet or laptop at Curry's PC World. T's and C's apply.
Welcome back. 2019 has been the summer of seltzer. In July, sales of hard seltzers like Truly, White Claw, and Bon and Viv grew a whopping 164% from last year and accounted for 5% of the U.S. beer market, according to Bank of America. Will the sensation stay strong after Labor Day? Joining us now is Dave Berwick. He's president and CEO of Truly, parent company, Boston Beer. Dave, it's great to see you.
That's like saying that Paul McCartney is the father of Stella McCartney. Right?
Yeah, which is the more important? Oh, well, I won't go there. So, Dave, you guys now have a 29% market share of hard seltzer. Are you trying to grow that category even further?
Of course. I mean, that's why we exist, is to grow. And so the brand has been growing, as you mentioned, we tripled the brand last year. And this year we're going to come just short of tripling it again. So we're investing a lot. Everybody's investing in this category. This category has disrupted the broader beer business the way craft beer did in the 1980s. It's that much of a change for the category. So it's sort of a gold rush right now. Everybody's trying to get as much share as they can.
Exactly. And I have been saying here on the air that I think that the seltzer is, hard seltzer is something of a fad, that it'll be over in a couple of years here, especially when you consider how fast it has grown. I know you're going to disagree with me, but I know that you have the tough job of trying to anticipate what consumer taste will be like down the road and make investments in that. So you're doubling down, it sounds like, on these hard seltzers going forward. Is that the idea?
Yeah, that's right, Bill. Actually, we're tripling down. I'd say the reason it's not the reason it's not a fad. I mean, you look at the consumer trends. Two big trends. One, toward health and wellness. Right, everybody's a little bit concerned about calories in, and this category delivers against it. 100 calories on average per can, maybe one gram of sugar, a couple grams of carbs, and that's it. So the health and wellness piece is very much there. Also variety, and this is, remember, we have a new generation of drinkers, millennials, let's call them 21 to 35, who are drinking differently than the people that came before them, and they really want something that's a little bit healthier, but obviously tastes great, hugely refreshing, and something that they can enjoy across multiple different varieties.
You know, you mentioned the analogy with craft beer, but I wonder if this is happening much more rapidly, in part because of social media. We've seen a huge spike in mentions and in I was going to say rapidity with which these trends can spread and really pick up, Dave. So if that's true and this really does cannibalize beer sales further, it's going to be pretty tough sledding for the core beer category, isn't it? So can this grow quickly enough where you can benefit from the upside, maybe even though you're losing some of the, again, traditional, you've got some of the downside there on the traditional side?
Yeah, I mean, for us, like we just want to go where the consumer's going. So we want to grow double digits every year. So we're gonna offer what consumers are looking for. This is what they're looking for. I think the good thing though, as it relates to the broader beer business, more than half of the occasions, the volume, if you will, is coming from spirits and from wine. So we're seeing over the last several years where some of these traditional beer occasions have been lost, particularly to spirits. Now, with hard seltzers, we're bringing them right back in. And technically, hard seltzer, we think of it as a form of beer because it's something you would drink in a typical beer occasion.
How are the margins compared to beer?
The margins are pretty good. I mean, they're about the same. I think the one thing that makes this category very different is that people love buying variety packs, meaning like a 12-pack with multiple flavors in it.
Right.
And to produce that, it's a little more complicated than producing just a 12-pack of beer. But we're on that, and if we were making some capital investments to deliver that. But it's unusual. It actually acts more like a traditional non-alcoholic beverage. People want big brands that are popular with lots of variety to have in lots of different occasions, and that's sort of where hard seltzer is playing right now. And so for us, we're just trying to, Bill, as you mentioned, understand that consumer every step of the way and keep evolving, keep innovating, to make sure that we're giving them what they're looking for.
Yeah, it's fascinating what you said, that actually this trend, unlike the move to spirits or whatever, if regular beer sales are going to decline, at least you guys can directly benefit from this trend. So where does that leave you on cannabis investments? Do you continue to look at options there and kind of do what Constellation has done, hedge your bets?
Yeah, I don't think we have $4 billion to invest in a cannabis company, but we're looking at, right now we're happy to grow double digits with the portfolio that we have, and we're really happy with our portfolio. We think it's really well advantaged at the moment, but having said that, of course, we're looking at cannabis developments. We're not going to be the first one in, but we're going to study and learn, and we'll, at the right time, once the category actually develops, it hasn't even developed yet, then we'll play at some point down the road.
All right, I'm about to have my first sip.
Have you ever had a hard seltzer?
I've never had a hard seltzer, and this is one of Dave's.
All right, you got to go for it.
Trulies.
This is a spirits connoisseur over here.
Yeah, you go ahead.
I'm going to have one with you.
What are you having?
I'm going to have the pineapple. I'm having a pineapple. What do you having?
I'm having lemon here. All right, here we go.
Okay, good. Cheers. Here's to you. Cheers.
It's not very sweet,
what
is
do you think?
It's not very sweet.
It's very light and refreshing.
Right, light and refreshing, yes. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you. Dave Berwick of Boston Beer.
That's right.
Are
Cheers.
they going to change it to Boston Seltzer?
Well, depends on just how well that category grows.
Yeah, that's not as sweet as I thought it was going to be. Coming up, two big news events that we need to be watching this weekend. First, of course, Hurricane Dorian is now a Cat 3 heading for Florida. It has the potential to be the strongest storm to hit Florida's East Coast in about 30 years. And those new tariffs set to kick in on Sunday morning. Will it start a new round of trade tensions? What will the global impact be? We've got it all covered for you coming up on Power Lunch. Cheers.
Hi, Phil Swift here for the...
They say less is more. But at MG, we say more is more. That means more spec than ever in the value-packed MG3, including Apple CarPlay and an 8-inch color touchscreen to bring your journey to life. MG3, big on spec, skinny on price. From just $9,495 on the road, including a 7-year, 80,000-mile warranty. Make Friday your MG3 test drive day at WLMG Marylebone. MG, color the road. Specifications subject to model.
Chloe, is that you? Still lugging that old laptop round your lectures?
No, my name's not Chloe, it's Claire. No,
No one wants to be seen with an old laptop at uni. Ask Curry's PC World about a new one, like the stylish HP Envy with its light in design, only $749. Plus, save £100 more when you trade in your old qualifying laptop.
Nice new laptop, Chloe. Thanks. It's Chloe, like the goddess.
Save with instant trade-in at Curry's PC World. In-store only. See website for laptop trade-in qualifying criteria and evaluation.
For our half-price sale on a choice of floors and beds. For first-class free fitting, Carpet Right for life. Offers end Tuesday. Free fitting on selected carpets and vinyl with selected underlay. Minimum spend applies.
At Tesco, we can pop our pasta in your Astra, our red Leicester in your Fiesta, or our mayo in your Mondeo. All you need to do is try Click and Collect. Just go to Tesco.com, order your shopping, then click and collect. With the minimum basket spend now only £25. And if you fancy something a little more exotic, we can even put our pad thai in your Qashqai. Try Click and Collect at Tesco.com. Every little helps. Selected larger stores. Booking charge may apply. See online for full terms and conditions.
Everyone wants a smooth running home so that they can spend more time enjoying it. The British Gas app allows you to do just that, because with a touch of a finger, you could quickly pay your bill or book in a boiler service, leaving you more time to fire up the barbecue or just relax with a good book. Manage your home account and more all in one place. Download the British Gas app from the App Store or Google Play today.
Strength and things. Strength and things. Strength and things. Strings and things. Strings and things and strings and things. Strings and things. Strings and
Now there's a whole range of strings and things called strings and things, including cheese strings, yollies, and new cheese shapes. Find them all in the cheese and yogurt aisle.
Strings and things.
Welcome back to Power Lunch. As anticipated, Hurricane Dorian has been upgraded to Category 3. That happened just moments ago. It could be the most powerful storm to hit Florida's East Coast in about 30 years, going back to Andrew. Meteorologist Caitlin McGrath is spending the day with us here. She has the latest on Dorian's path for us right now. Caitlin?
Hi there, Bill. That's right. Dorian, now a major Category 3 hurricane with sustained winds at 115 miles per hour. And Dorian is expected to continue to strengthen as we head through the long holiday weekend. Right now moving to the north and west at 10 miles per hour. But it is expected to make that hard westerly turn towards the Bahamas, towards the Florida coast as we head towards the start of next week. So let's take you through the next few days and what we can expect out of this massive storm. It is expected to continue to rapidly intensify as we head through the next few days, eventually becoming a Category 4 storm as it does approach that Florida landfall. Now, it has slowed down quite a bit. It is going to be a very slow-moving storm. The good news there, it does give Floridians more time to prepare. Use that time wisely. The bad news, as it approaches Florida, it is going to bring that prolonged period of heavy rain, strong wind, and storm surge as we head towards Tuesday morning. But we will feel the impacts earlier than that. That landfall, again, still expected sometime early on Tuesday, but that could change. There's still the possibility that it could stall out, hang over the ocean a little bit longer as we head towards the start of the week. So again, our biggest concern, the storm surge, the heavy prolonged rain, and the high winds that are all expected as part of Dorian. Bill, back over to you.
All right, Caitlin, thank you. We'll be checking back with you throughout this day. Time now, though, for Trading Nation. Mike Santoli, it's all yours.
Bill, thank you very much. Well, the stocks that led the market on the way up have also led it on the way down. Facebook, GE, Citi, Under Armour, and Union Pacific, some of the worst performers in August, after all roaring higher in the first 7 months of 2019. So can any of them recapture their former glory in September? Craig Johnson of Piper Jaffray and Steve Cheverone of Federated Investors are your Trading Nation team today. So Craig, perusing this list, what stands out to you? A lot of these trends broken, or are these buying opportunities?
So, Mike, the stock that stands out to me is Facebook. You know, I'm not ready to defriend Facebook here at this point in time. And while the stock is only up about 3.6% over the last 52 weeks, and certainly there's a lot of fundamental overhang on the shares, I would point out that the stock has been starting to put in a series of higher highs and higher lows. And you can see that the uptrend off of those January lows still remains intact at this point in time. And if this stock can continue to push ahead, we are setting ourselves up for a retest back to those old highs at about 219. So that's a little less than 20% upside from here. That's something that I would be trading at this point.
Steve, no real China business, and the regulatory story at least has gone a little bit quiet for Facebook. Not sure if that one fits into where you're looking in terms of growth stocks to be positioned through the end of the year.
Yeah, at the risk of being too harmonious, we come to a very similar place from a different angle. When we think about, that list of stocks that you mentioned, we think growth still works here. And when you look at Facebook, you've got double-digit earnings growth that looks to continue. So, yeah, you've got the regulatory overhang, but as you look forward, right, you've got the advertising spending that's coming with the 2020 election, you've got 5G, and it's still the place to be with over 2 billion users in terms of your advertising spend. So out of that group, we think that that's the one that's the best position, and we own it at Federated, both in the Global Al Fund and across our growth portfolios.
All right, still a ways up to get back to the 2018 highs for the stock. Who knew we'd be using the coming election as a bullish point for Facebook stock? We'll see if that all plays out, guys. Thank you, Craig and Steve. For more Trading Nation, head to our website or follow us on Twitter at Trading Nation. Kelly, back over to you.
All right, Mike, thanks very much. And ahead on Power Lunch, President Trump's tariff threats are about to become a reality. What ripple effects will they have on the global economy? We'll break that down for you next. Plus, Ulta having its worst day ever. We'll tell you the surprising reasons why. And Swift returns. Taylor Swift's new album shattering industry records. But the pop star is in the middle of a fight to try to take back her control of her old music. We're going to talk about that move when Power Lunch returns.
And now, the latest from tradingnation.cnbc.com and a word from our sponsor.
There's a classic investment thesis called the Dow theory. It says that transportation stocks can either confirm or deny a broader market trend. But it's important to remember that transports can be sensitive to changes in oil prices and other market influences. So don't rely exclusively on this theory when making an investment decision. I'm Randy Frederick, and Schwab is the better place for traders.
You know that tech stock we talked about?
They say less is more. But at MG, we say more is more. That means more spec than ever in the value-packed MG3, including Apple CarPlay and an 8-inch color touchscreen to bring your journey to life. MG3, big on spec, skinny on price. From just $9,495 on the road, including a 7-year, 80,000-mile warranty. Make Friday your MG3 test drive day at WLMG Marylebone. MG, color the road. Specifications subject to model.
Chloe, is that you? Still lugging that old laptop round your lectures?
No, my name's not Chloe, it's Claire.
No one wants to be seen with an old laptop at uni. Ask Curry's PC World about a new one, like the stylish HP Envy with its light-in design. Only $749. Plus, save £100 more when you trade in your old qualifying laptop.
Nice new laptop, Chloe. Thanks. It's Chloe, like the goddess.
Save with instant trade-in at Curry's PC World. In-store only. See website for laptop trading qualifying criteria and evaluation.
Pick up 3 packs of beers for only £21 at Asda, including Strongbow Dark Fruits, Stella Artois and Cobra. Perfect for those end-of-summer barbecues. Bring it home with Asda. Selected stores and lines, subject to availability. Stella and Strongbow 10 440ml cans, Cobra 12 330ml bottles, individual packs £9 to £10 each. Exclude Scotland drinkware.
Please state your reason for this call.
I would like to end my home insurance policy.
Please state your reason for this call.
End my policy.
Please enter your 12-digit passcode. Policy ended.
Finally.
To confirm end of policy, please enter credit card details and pay £50.
With Aviva Plus home insurance, you can pay monthly at no extra cost and with no cancellation charges. New Aviva Plus. Insurance the way it should be.
Excludes Northern Ireland. For our half-price sale on a choice of floors and beds. For first-class free fitting. For kicking your heels off. For overexcited kids. And pets. For thrills and spills. For a special welcome home. Carpet Right for life. Offers end Tuesday. Free fitting on selected carpets and vinyl with selected underlay. Minimum spend applies.
I'm Rahel Solomon, and here is your CNBC News update at this hour. Russia releasing video today of a nuclear-capable missile test. The Defense Ministry says that the cruise missile was fired from a frigate in the Black Sea and has a range of about 1,200 miles. The Russian military announced that Syrian government forces will begin a unilateral ceasefire tomorrow morning. This will happen in the northwestern province of Idlib. This comes after government forces intensify their offensive over recent weeks, capturing rebel-held areas in the last major rebel stronghold in the country. And back home, health officials say that more cases of a mysterious lung illness associated with vaping have been reported. The CDC and FDA say that as of August 27th, 215 possible cases have been reported in 25 states. More cases are under investigation. And 16-year-old Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg among a crowd of climate activists demanding that world leaders do more to protect the planet from climate change. She is scheduled to speak at a UN climate summit next month. And that is the CNBC News Update at this hour. Back to you, Bill.
All right, Rahel, thank you very much. Let's get a quick check on the markets right now. The Dow off its highs of the day. It was up 150-plus points. Now you see it's just a fractional gain. The NASDAQ and the S&P have moved lower. And take a look at the ride-hailing stocks today. Uber down about 1.5%, hitting its post-IPO lows. Lyft, not very much better, within about $1 of its own post-IPO low.
Wow, 32 handle for Uber. Amazing.
Yep.
We've got a news alert on Boeing. Let's go out to Phil LeBeau in Chicago for that, Phil.
Kelly, take a look at shares of Boeing. They dipped just a little bit over the last couple of minutes because the FAA has issued a statement essentially saying that the Joint Authorities Technical Review Panel, I know it's a mouthful, but that's a panel made up of 9 safety regulating agencies around the world, the Chinese aviation authorities, the Canadians, the Europeans, the FAA. They've been reviewing the safety specs, if you will, and the certification process of the 737 MAX. And they've basically said, you know what, we need a couple more weeks as we document our findings, and we expect within the next few weeks, no definitive timeline, that they will issue their report on the 737 MAX. The significance of this, guys, is that the JATR, that report is going to be one factor that the FAA is going to be looking at as they consider whether or not fixes on the 737 MAX are enough and the plane is safe to fly. Remember, Dennis Muhlenberg has said he expects it early in the fourth quarter. We'll see if his optimism is warranted. Guys, back to you.
Yes, but it comes on a day when United delays the return of the MAX to December 19th. Coincidence or what's going on here? Two different stories going on here.
Bill, we're now to that point here where we know that they're making progress on fixing the MAX. The question becomes, how quickly does it get recertified? And then how quickly can the airlines put it back into service? You know, we did a story with the head of scheduling for American a few weeks ago, and he basically said, look, you can't flip a switch. You just can't say, all right, put all 24 of these back in the air. You need several weeks. And what United did today was say, we now think that by mid-December, this plane, it'll already be certified. We're ready to put it back into service. So we're in this period here. I suspect that over the next few weeks, we'll see more reports like this, more headlines like this regarding the MAX.
All right, Phil, thanks very much. Phil LeBeau in Chicago for us. Now, the clock is ticking on trade. President Trump's September 1st tariff deadline rapidly approaching. It's just hours away. If the trade war reignites, what will it mean around the globe? Well, we've got Steve Leisman looking at the potential ripple effect. Seema Modi tracking international stocks. Steve Grasso delivering the trader's take on the impact. And Rick Santelli watching Bondland. So, Steve, let's start with you.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, as the Fed worries about global economic weakness, it's finding out just how interconnected this world we live in actually is. Weakness overseas already having important effects in the United States. Take a look at these key gauges of manufacturing in China and the U.S. They've both fallen together. The U.S. PMI, it's from around 60 down to around 52. It's still growing, though, but China's manufacturing index, it's dropped along with America's from just below 52, now in contraction territory around 49. What's happened in China? Well, that also affects what's happening in Germany. Overall, Chinese imports, they're down year over year. That started in December. A few months before that, overall exports from Germany went negative, suggesting some strong German-Chinese trade and economic connections. All right, what weakens China? Let's move on. That can hurt Germany, and Germany's weakness, yeah, in turn, a big part of Europe's concerns. All this washes up where? On U.S. shores. Yesterday's second quarter GDP data showed that U.S. exports, which almost always add to growth, they're always on the positive side, they subtracted 0.7 of a point from growth. This year, the past 4 quarters have seen 2 of the biggest export subtractions from growth since the Great Recession. Good news. The U.S. has held up well CNBC's rapid update running at 2.1% for the third quarter. That's up 1/10 today because of strong July consumer spending. But the links are there, and if other economies worsen in a still globalized world, U.S. unlikely to be immune. Guys, this is the time of day on Fridays. We get the weeklies from the economists about their big thoughts. Just got the first one from Oxford. Title, The Consumer Can't Do It Alone.
And after the sentiment numbers this morning,
Right.
we hope they can do it.
At all.
Continue to do it, period.
Yeah.
Steve Leisman, thank you for thinking the big thoughts. Now, if you thought that August was a rough month here in the U.S., think again. Investors pulling around $14 billion from the emerging markets, and Seema Modi has more on that for us.
And this is notable because in a low-rate environment, emerging market stocks typically should outperform, but it's this combination of the U.S.-China trade dispute, a weaker Chinese yuan, and slowing growth that has triggered $13.8 billion in outflows from emerging markets in the month of August, marking the worst-performing month since the U.S. election in November of 2016. Massive outflows comes as hedge funds have been increasing their exposure to emerging markets in 2019 with both long and short positions, according to HFR. And analysis from Goldman Sachs shows that the MSCI Emerging Market ETF is one of the top holdings of hedge funds as of June 30th. The underperformance in EM is pretty much across every region, broader Asia, ex-China, and Latin America, primarily due to Argentina's debt restructuring plans after postponing a key payment to the IMF, and today credit rating agency S&P cutting the South American nation by 3 notches to CCC- for a selective default. Argentina's stock market really getting crushed this month, down over 40%. Now, Invesco says going forward, they expect more investors to become selective, finding specific countries with good fundamentals, a stable political environment to invest in versus owning these broader ETFs that track a wide range of companies in the emerging market complex. So that will be an interesting thing to watch for.
That's for sure. Seema, thank you very much. So where is the best place to invest right now, the U.S. or internationally? Bringing in Steve Grasso now, fast money trader and director of institutional sales at Stuart Frankel. Good to see you again, Steve. Welcome back. You know, so many money managers have come through here the last several months and said that, you know, emerging markets, they're due for a rally of some kind. They're, you know, they've just suffered so much, and still they're the market that's been left behind, if you will. Do you look there yet, or do you stick with what you know here in the U.S.?
So eventually those money managers are going to be right. Eventually there's going to be a better opportunity somewhere else. Sometimes, you know, on Wall Street, when you're early, Bill, you know this better than anyone, you're wrong. So if people have been investing there, they've been wrong. So Steve Leisman just opened up saying, you know, about a lot of the domino effects that are happening globally. Seema touched on how much money is coming out of emerging markets. That means that it's coming out of there and it has to go someplace. These money managers are paid to manage money, not watch markets. The money is still coming here. We're still the best house on a block that has slowing growth globally, and that's probably the way it's going to stay for quite some time.
The U.S. market has been positioning itself in a very defensive posture, understandably so. As we go into the new month here, and again, I'll repeat the old saw that September is traditionally the worst month for the stock market in the United States, even though a lot of traditions have been falling by the wayside the last few years. But do you go with the strength in this market right now, or do you start looking for value opportunities? What do you think?
So I'm in the chemical space, so I've been early there, so I am wrong. So I've been wrong, and I do believe that that's going to be the rebound trade or the catch-up trade. And I don't know, I think Dudley, everything that we've discussed on every desk and on every trading floor in the last week or so, Dudley kind of opened up the possibility, and Tony Dwyer said this the other night on Fast Money, for the Fed to have cover and go 50 basis points this time around. That was not in the cards prior to Dudley. I think they have now, they have to prove that they're not solely against Trump and they aren't a political body or agency. So I think it does open up 50 basis points. If 50 basis points happens, Bill, Trump has cover to kind of wait until the new year, until we're closer to the election to get a deal done. So while you could see softening headlines on trade, he doesn't necessarily need a deal before the year is over. If we get a deal before the year is over, you could see 3,000 in the S&P very easily. We're right there. You could see 3,100. I've looked at some technical retracement levels That gets me to about 3085, 3100 in the S&P cash. That would really steal the heart of bears, which has already been stolen pretty much.
Even the chemicals would go higher at that
So
point.
Machiavellian.
Even the chemicals. And then... That's right. I try to add something for you, Kelly. It's very highbrow with you and Bill, so I have to really be on my toes, and I often fall short.
As well you should. No, you do well. Thank you,
Thinking
Steve.
about that one all weekend. Steve, thanks very much. Let's get over to that bond market now where Rick Santelli can weigh in with the action at the CME. Rick?
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, August has a big history attached to it because the first three charts are historic. Look at the shots, the 2-year in Europe, month-to-date chart. It's through minus 90, approaching minus 95. Never been there before. Italian 10-year. Just think about the Italian economy. It's under 1%. Look at 30-year bonds. They started out the month above 253. They're now under 2%. Intraday of the dollar index, I'm showing this because it is surging, best level since May of 2017, which means the next chart, euro versus the dollar, you guessed it, it's a month to date, but it is also at the lowest level since 2017. And all of this brought about because we're the bastion of positive rates and a tsunami of foreign investors seem to want to be here. Bill, back to you.
How much longer before we're at a full minus 1% on that German Bund?
Oh, I think it's coming quick. That shot should be there in a couple of sessions.
Incredible. Just incredible. Thank you, Rick Santelli. And coming up, Lionsgate shares hitting their lowest level now since January 2012. We'll explain why next.
They say less is more. But at MG, we say more is more. That means more spec than ever in the value-packed MG3, including 16-inch alloy wheels and sports seats to bring your journey to life. MG3, big on spec, skinny on price. From just $9,495 on the road, including a 7-year, 80,000-mile warranty. Make Friday your MG3 test drive day at WLMG Marylebone. MG, color the road. Specifications subject to model.
Chloe, is that you? Still lugging that old laptop round your lectures?
No, my name's not Chloe, it's Claire.
No one wants to be seen with an old laptop at uni. Ask Curry's PC World about a new one, like the stylish HP Envy with its light-in design. Only $749. Plus, save £100 more when you trade in your old qualifying laptop.
Nice new laptop, Chloe. Thanks. It's Chloe, like the goddess.
Save with instant trade-in at Curry's PC World. In-store only. See website for laptop trading qualifying criteria and evaluation.
Pick up 3 packs of beers for only £21 at Asda, including Strongbow Dark Fruits, Stella Artois and Cobra. Perfect for those end-of-summer barbecues. Bring it home with Asda. Selected stores and lines, subject to availability. Stella and Strongbow 10 440ml cans. Cobra 12 330ml bottles. Individual packs £9 to £10 each. Excludes Scotland drinkware.
For our half-price sale on a choice of floors and beds. For first-class free fitting, Carpet Right for life. Offers end Tuesday. Free fitting on selected carpets and vinyl with selected underlay. Minimum spend applies.
Whoa! Shell saltwater supercars. They look fun.
Science-fueled fun, actually, Dad. Toy cars that run on salt water.
Fuel the family fun with Shell saltwater supercars. Fill up with £30 or more and you'll qualify to buy a car from just $3.99.
I want one.
Okay, Dad.
Fill up on fun with saltwater supercars at Shell. Participating sites, conditions apply. See shell.co.uk/saltwater supercars for details. Working on a tablet has never been so good, whatever you're doing. With the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6, you've got all the power of a PC. It's sleek, slender and stylish, with a battery life of up to 14 hours. But it's not all work, you know. Get creative with the advanced S Pen, or enjoy better gaming and movies with its epic 10.5-inch screen and quad AKG speakers. We'll also give you an extra £50 off the Tab S6 when you trade in your old tablet or laptop at Curry's PC World. T's and C's apply.
Welcome back to Power Lunch. We have a market flash now on Lionsgate. That stock sinking right now. Julia Borston, what's going on?
Bill, that's right. Those shares down 7%. They were off about 9% earlier today. This on a report in the information that Comcast told Lionsgate it plans to drop Starz and Starz Encore from its main bundle of channels, potentially considering replacing it with Epix. Now, Comcast, CNBC's parent, is responsible for about a third of Starz' subscribers, and Starz accounted for more than 2/3 of its parent Lionsgate's profits last year. Both companies, Lionsgate, Comcast, tell me no comment, but sources tell me this could be seen as part of negotiating tactics ahead of their contract expiring at year end. But the headlines and the stocks, dramatic move now down 6%, speaks to the pressure on pay TV providers to halt their growing costs and the pressure on smaller companies such as Lionsgate to lock in their contracts. Lionsgate had put Starz on the block. They were in talks to potentially sell it to CBS. Guys, back over to you. Yeah, we'll be following that with a lot of interest. Julia, thanks. Taylor Swift's new album is the best-selling album since the last Taylor Swift album. Now she has a plan to make the same old music new again and stick it to a record executive in the process. Does she need to just calm down and shake it off? Power Lunch. We'll be right back.
They say less is more. But at MG, we say more is more. That means more spec than ever in the value-packed MG3, including 16-inch alloy wheels and sports seats to bring your journey to life. MG3, big on spec, skinny on price. From just $9,495 on the road, including a 7-year, 80,000-mile warranty. Make Friday your MG3 test drive day at WLMG Marylebone. MG, colour the road. Specifications subject to model.
Chloe, is that you? Still lugging that old laptop round your lectures?
No, my name's not Chloe, it's Claire.
No one wants to be seen with an old laptop at uni. Ask Curry's PC World about a new one, like the stylish HP Envy with its light-in design. Only $749. Plus, save £100 more when you trade in your old qualifying laptop.
Nice new laptop, Chloe. Thanks. It's Chloe, like the goddess.
Save with instant trade-in at Curry's PC World. In-store only. See website for laptop trading qualifying criteria and evaluation.
Pick up 3 packs of beers for only £21 at Asda, including Strongbow Dark Fruits, Stella Artois and Cobra. Perfect for those end-of-summer barbecues. Bring it home with Asda. Selected stores and lines, subject to availability. Stella and Strongbow 10 440ml cans. Cobra 12 330ml bottles. Individual packs £9 to £10 each. Excludes Scotland drinkware.
Mr. Davis, to start your car insurance policy, you'll have to pay upfront £850 for the year in one single payment. How does that sound?
£850?
Yes, Mr. Davis.
In one go?
Yes, Mr. Davis.
Today?
Yes, Mr. Davis.
In one single payment?
Yes, Mr. Davis.
What?
With new Aviva Plus, we won't ask you to pay everything up front. Everyone pays monthly at no extra cost. New Aviva Plus, car insurance the way it should be. Excludes Northern Ireland.
For our half-price sale on a choice of floors and beds. For first-class free fitting, Carpet Right for life. Offers end Tuesday. Free fitting on selected carpets and vinyl with selected underlay. Minimum spend applies.
Working on a tablet has never been so good, whatever you're doing. With the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6, you've got all the power of a PC. It's sleek, slender and stylish, with a battery life of up to 14 hours. But it's not all work, you know. Get creative with the advanced S Pen, or enjoy better gaming and movies. With its epic 10.5-inch screen and quad AKG speakers. We'll also give you an extra £50 off the Tab S6 when you trade in your old tablet or laptop. At Curry's PC World. T's and C's apply.
Everyone wants a smooth running home so that they can spend more time enjoying it. The British Gas app allows you to do just that, because with the touch of a finger, you can quickly submit meter readings or book an expert engineer, leaving you more time for watering the borders or a spot of sunbathing. Manage your home account and more all in one place. Download the British Gas app from the App Store or Google Play today.
Swift's Lover album having the biggest debut week in sales for any album in the U.S. since her previous record, Reputation, back in 2017. The multi-Grammy winning artist is also making headlines this week for wanting to re-record her previous albums. Why? Well, they're owned by music mogul Scooter Braun. Will her latest public feud with him change the face of the music industry? Joining us now is Bill Werde. He's director of the Bandier program at Syracuse University and former editorial director at Billboard. Bill, when I first heard this, my confusion was as to whether she's trying to make the songs exactly the same and kind of supplant their existence, and if that would be possible, or are these just going to be different versions and she hopes people kind of forget about the old ones?
I suspect these are going to be different versions. I think Taylor's shown a lot of ability to be very creative in problem solving throughout her career. And I think the way this ultimately plays out is if she does wind up recording new versions, they wind up being creative, different kinds of takes on these versions that fans will snap up for sure, will listen to for sure, because her fans are as loyal as anyone's fans in the business. Believe me, my Twitter feed after writing that column for Billboard is showing that. So they will snap up those versions, but I just don't see them replacing the original versions. Keep in mind, some of those huge hits she wrote literally when she was like a freshman in high school. Right. So now she's a 30-year-old, worldly woman. She sings differently. She has lost the sort of adorable country twang.
No, I joke she's become the villain of her earlier songs.
You could say that.
She's like, you're the, she's the cheerleader. She's
and you're back on Twitter again. Okay.
Well,
that's what
changed.
Hey, that's my contention is that this is only the first salvo in negotiations with Scooter Braun, that she will never re-record her old stuff. She just wants to find a way to settle with him, maybe even take control of her own albums that she's already recorded. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my hope as a longtime observer of the business and as someone who's had the pleasure of working with both of them. Listen, Scooter's one of the smartest, absolute most visionary executives in the business. Taylor is one of the smartest, absolutely most visionary artists in the business. And I think what's best for both of them ultimately is if they can kind of figure out how to patch this up and get along. But there are some, I think, very deep running personal sentiments here. So, and the longer this, I think the harder it is for Taylor to kind of back away and still find ways to save face. So that's saying it's certainly possible, right? She's taken on streaming services before. She's taken on other entities before. And usually the way she's able to dress it up is they come up with a solution that actually benefits someone besides just Taylor Swift. Right. And so if there is an outcome here that results in her not recording her masters again, that's what I would be looking for. Is there some, money dedicated towards, other independent artists, something like that?
Animal rights.
Animal rights. Yeah.
I'm curious if we might actually see this be something of a trend now. I mean, if she does this successfully, like all trailblazers, you might get a lot of other people thinking about, wait a minute, I'd like to capture a bigger piece of my future profits, especially if I didn't make such a great deal. Billy Joel was one name that came to mind earlier. Are there more artists who we might see do this?
Well, there certainly are more artists that you'll see do this, but I don't know that it's part of like a massive trend, right? Like, number one, historically, re-records haven't done that well, right? Fans have the originals. They're in love with the originals. The originals are the versions that they first kind of came to know that artist through. So you haven't really seen a lot of success. In fact, a lot of times when artists do re-records, it actually drives up interest in the original catalog. So inadvertently, if she does these re-records, I'm certain those re-records will do very well, but it may also actually, help Scooter's bottom line.
Yeah. Bill Werde, we got to go at this point. Live television, you know how it is. There's never enough time.
I do.
Bill Werde, thanks for joining us right now. By the way, I'm a big fan of Lobo. He re-recorded all of his one hit and wasn't the same. Check Please is
never
next.
Is.
They say less is more. But at MG, we say more is more. That means more spec than ever in the value-packed MG3, including a reverse parking camera and LED daytime running lights to bring your journey to life. MG3, big on spec, skinny on price. From just $9,495 on the road, including a 7-year, 80,000-mile warranty. Make Friday your MG3 test drive day